let's talk about how, as men, one of our primary outlets for not dealing with our trauma is sex.
I'ma charge this shit to the game we play. I lost them. I think about it all the time. Was it worth what it cost it? Was it worth when you bought it? Did it hurt when you lost it?
What it do, man? It's your boy Marquise Voss, man, and you are now tapped back into the Modern King podcast
with Keon.
So today we got a one for y'all, man. Y'all might want to get your tissue. You gonna want to get some milk. You gonna want something to drink or something like that, because we got some spicy topics. We appreciate all the love we've been getting from episode 1, man. We appreciate all our supporters, man, who've been just holding us down and sharing it. So far, I think we didn't added up a total of like over 2,000 views between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, man. So the second category that we want to take some time to really talk to the men about is mental health. Of course, we always hear about it and we talked about it before, but the specific part in that, we took some time to break down 3 keys that we feel like every man needs to go through in order to improve his mental health state. The number 1 tip that we recommend is to know when to ask for help. We can both speak to this from personal experience. One of the things that me and Keon experienced like back when we was in high school is that we had a real bad habit of like holding it in. So we know we going through depression. We know we deal with all kind of anxiety. And a lot of times we know men could be dealing with like suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. And we have all, even with the, we can even take some time to talk about Twitch, DJ Twitch. He actually committed suicide. And I think he was 40 years old with a family and everything like that. And that's actually a perfect example because specifically as black men, but men period, we pride ourselves on like, thugging it out and really just holding stuff in. And one of the key things I had to learn is, or the reason why asking for help is so important is because it make you more vulnerable as a man. And one of the things that we don't understand as men is that we got to tap into our emotional side. We got to tap into our feminine side. But they think, a lot of times we might think that's too feminine or we acting like a woman. But Jason Wilson, he wanted to, on Instagram, Jason Wilson, he is it's a great example when he really talked to men about being emotional, and compassionate and stuff like that. So I feel like you have to really make time to ask for help. So.
And then number 2, make sure you search where that trauma origin is coming from. There's a reason why you treat women a certain way. It's because you was never taught how to treat women, or you never had that example. There's just things you just go through, and you need to realize what's making you so angry. Why am I so mad? You just need to find that trauma history.
And this is the part that men ain't gonna really want to. We don't really like doing this part, because this is, and I even can speak from personal experience. Searching for that trauma origin, this is the most painful part. I feel like when you get to a point as a man where you're not afraid of being emotional, you're not afraid of crying, because we talked about that before. I mean, I'm also ask you on a side note, have you ever cried in front of a woman before? But me personally, I know I have. Keon, I exposed myself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it take a lot of humility to do it. But I feel like that's probably the best thing you can do as a man, because we so used to this toxic masculinity generation. So that's another thing we want to do is like show men how to be vulnerable, show men how to be open. That's why, like I said, I want to expose myself. I want to do it because if we can do it and we can show men, just like we did already in so many different things from fitness, they be like, man, if Keith and Keon can do it, with shoot, let me do calisthenics. Keith's doing backflips off the wall at Mayfair. Hey, well, maybe I might be Spider-Man 2.0. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the best thing that I really want to get better at doing, is being genuinely like open and emotional. You know what I'm saying? Not saying we're gonna be on here crying or nothing like that, but yeah, just really just being open. So yeah.
One of my biggest trauma origins I had to understand was why I took it so hard when I tore my ACL. When I tore my ACL, it was just so much bigger than what it actually was. I had to understand it was more than just my leg. Like, I was thinking back, like, tearing my ACL made me think I had unfinished business, or I wasn't going to be good enough to do something. And that came from just moments within my life. Like, my dad never came to none of my football games. I thought maybe if I got better, played harder, he would show up. And not saying I have a bad relationship with my dad. It's just not the relationship that you would think. Right. My dad always showed me how to be a good, hard worker. He always been there. He never beat me or my mom. He always treated us all with respect. He showed me how to be a man. Right. But it's just the little things in life that hurt me. And it took me to tear my ACL to sit down and understand that. I just thought, like, man, maybe I will never get to that point. But that was God putting it in front of me, tearing my ACL, sat me down. It just made me think about different things.
So let me ask you this: with your ACL, tearing your ACL, with that being probably the biggest, craziest thing that happened to you, what was the? And I know you talked about your father. Was it like a lack of love thing from your father that you discovered within yourself that was a big trauma piece for you in your life?
It was a lack of showing it. So, like, again, my dad showed me how to be a hard worker, showed me how to be a man. It was the fact that during that stage, I was trying so hard to show every other emotion but love in a way. I was just trying to play hard, be happy, just do everything but understand certain things, how I felt.
So like struggling with showing your emotions, and
Yeah, struggling with showing my
love
emotions.
and affection and all
Yeah.
of that. Where did that come from then? So like even in your relationship, is that something you struggle with now or no?
Yeah, it's something I continuously struggle on, but I would say it got much easier. Again, nothing's solved in a day, but I am taking the steps to show that. Like being more open with even my girlfriend, my parents, my little cousin, people I mentor. Like, I am more open now. I feel like these things have make me better. Tearing my ACL is probably the best thing that ever happened to me. That's crazy. And that's crazy. The effect that it had on me, that's crazy to say that.
So the third tip that we recommend men lock in on when it comes to building your self-awareness for yourself is finding someone to literally talk to, because you could do the first two steps of understanding, number one, I need help, and then number two, why do I need help? Because we talked about origin, but number three, you got to actually physically go talk to somebody, whether that be a friend, a family member, or something like that. Because like we talked about in our personal experiences, that was the part we struggled with the most. We was like, man, I don't really know if I feel like talking to somebody, you know what I'm saying? Especially because, like I said, we got men who 30, 40, 50 years old who ain't never talked to nobody. And that's a stigma and a narrative that we got to like break and end in the black community when we feel like as men we can't talk to nobody. We feel like it's soft talking about our feelings. Like I said, we feel like it's soft crying in front of a woman.
Man, you can't talk to everybody.
Yeah, you do have to be careful.
So you have to talk to those who have your best interests at hand, because there's a lot of people, like I said, hurt people. And just they hearing on your downfalls and what you're struggling with, they will use that against you.
That is important to what you said. You can't just talk to anybody. So and this is another key. We gotta make sure that if you don't feel comfortable talking to a family member or a friend, actually go seek professional mental help. You know what I mean? You gotta actually go get a therapist. And one of the keys that I learned, because I have a lot of clients who are mental health therapists. But one of the keys that they mention is that it's two keys that you got to keep in mind if you're going to seek professional help. One, make sure that you get somebody who is the same ethnicity as you, or the same race, I should say. Make sure you get somebody the same race as you, because if you're a black person, you probably going to relate more with a black therapist. If you're a white person, you're going to relate more with a white therapist, and try to find someone that's the same gender, because you'll get a lot better response. So I feel like that's important. Let's talk about how, as men, one of our primary outlets for not dealing with our trauma is sex. But then on the other side of that, the way us as men, especially if you live in a promiscuous lifestyle, and if you know what I'm saying, have happened to be sexually exposed to sex itself, you know what I'm saying, at a young age, we know men go crazy, you know what I'm saying? So I had some good self-control, but, you know, you definitely had your sexual experiences to where I believe it also, to where this another exposing moment just for the just as men, what we do wrong is we get so caught up in the sex. So we like you said, it might not be more than just physical attraction. We say that in the back of our mind, but we know that maintaining this sexual relationship with this woman is going, you know, destroy her. You know what I'm saying? We know because they emotional creatures. We logical. We can bounce around and do what we want to. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we skip over that and we don't really understand hurt people like you was just basically saying. So I feel like that's one of the ways. That's why we telling people you got to deal with your trauma as a man. You got to take time to deal with your trauma, because if you don't, you're going to lash out in different ways. Your woman, aside from the sex part, physical abuse. You know what I'm saying? We just keep coming back to that, but or spirit just keep leading me back to that, because once again, I recently talked to a woman who said she just kind of dealt with some physical abuse. I'm actually bring it up I wanted to do this too when we recorded, because I wrote this down. because when I was counseling this woman, God gave me this word on my heart. So like I said, remember I told you that I prayed before I responded to her. This is what I wrote right here in my notes after I got into that place to where I took time out to pray before I gave this woman some advice on how to deal with physical abuse. It says, if you allow a man who is toxic and broken to hold the strings of your heart and your body, he will automatically destroy your mind and your spirit. And the way that I came up, like I said, when I got into prayer, I was in it. I was grinding to where he showed me that, because this is the thing. I feel like in relationships, a man know that as long as he got a string on your heart and on your body, he know that you're going to keep coming back.
And it's so crazy that we're in a generation now where people are so broken that the only time they feel true happiness is if they hurt someone else.
Explain that.
The only time they feel true happiness is if they hurt someone else.
How so?
They're like, hurting someone else makes them feel like their problem is not that bad. Or they're not the only one going through it.
So it's like you want to see somebody actually go through something bad,
That's
so you don't gotta
crazy
deal with
to
it.
me.
You've done that before in your
Me?
your
No.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh no, man. But so that's something you personally seen people
yeah,
go
I've
through?
seen that. And it's just
Okay.
because in this generation, the most popular thing is being toxic. I don't know who started it between Future and Blueface and his girl. No, I don't want to shout them out.
No, that's real.
It is real.
Culture wise,
It is
that's a
real.
great example.
But it's so crazy. Like, people see celebrities like that doing that and say that's goals. Like, they see each other physically fighting and say that's goals. Like, I just feel like as a man, if I have to put my hands on you, then I need to put myself out of this situation. If I have to put my hands on my partner, I have to take myself out of that situation and understand where that trauma is coming from. So a man needs to know how to lead. That's like the biggest thing. Throughout all the time, we have always been the leaders. And it's not even just you lead them to bad. You have to truly know how to lead them to good. Truly lead them with good intentions. Truly lead them into everyone's best opportunity. And then what makes me a great leader is that I know where I want to be. I know what my life is going to look like. So everything I have ever done in my life has always been strategic. As far as my relationship, the people who hang around me, my goals, everything just always been strategic. The way I walk, the way I talk, how I operate in the gym, how I operate with those around me. It's just I know I need to do things a certain way because I know what my life is going to look like. So as far as my relationship, I make sure I'm with someone who's also goal-oriented and who could speak their mind and recognize things I can't. So say we are out at a business dinner or a meeting or something. She could probably read different things on people that I wasn't able to read. She could put me on game about certain things that I wasn't able to take. So that's why even with friends, mentors, everybody, like not everybody's your OG. Those older people who I consider OGs, mentors, are the ones who always led me a straight path. Those who always told me good things.
Now, first I want to take some time to acknowledge cameraman Troy. Shout out my boy. He just gave us a good quote just now. You know what I mean? But the thing that he said is, just paraphrasing a quote that he just dropped, is that the best leaders know when to allow themselves to be led by somebody else, or know when you have to allow yourself to follow somebody else. That was another one of the qualities that I had to learn. Like I said, mentor. I said the word mentor. I had to learn from somebody else. And sometimes, this is the part I got excited for, sometimes we learn from people that's younger than us. We got Famo over there, cameraman Nate, you know what I mean? But my reasoning for bringing that up is a lot of times we don't understand that we even need leadership from somebody else. And like I said, leadership isn't always a person that's older than you, that's stronger than you, you know what I mean? I can say from personal experience to my young brother Nate, you know what I mean? He taught me a lot about relationships, being a man that he's been in a relationship for multiple years, and he's showing me things. I'm asking him questions. Like, keep in mind, we got a 3.5, 4 year age gap. But I'm like, bro, how can I be better as a man in relationships? What's some of the things you've been doing that's been making your relationship so successful to where you got 3 years plus, and I ain't been in one yet, but I'm older than you, you know what I mean? Or I haven't been in a successful successful one yet. You know what I mean? So I'm always humbling myself, like, man, how can I get more knowledge and how can I get more game from another man or even a woman? Because I want to take some time to shout out to the amazing women in my life. You know what I mean? Especially, once again, I keep bringing up a business owner because that's a huge part of my life. But me being a business owner has allowed me to build so many great relationships with my clients. You know what I mean? To specifically, my best, the majority of my clients are women, black women specifically. You know what I mean? And I thank God for even blessing me with these women. A lot of them watching this right now, they be calling me like, nephew, I saw you on there going crazy. These ain't even my family members in real life, you know what I mean? But they my clients who became family. So that's another thing I learned too. Family is not just blood. Family is based on, you know, the actions of how that person supports you in your life. So I just want to thank them because they give me so much energy. They like, well, nephew, if you gonna do it like this, you know these women gonna like you, nephew. You know what I'm saying? You know you're an attractive man, so you gotta be able to hold yourself in this kind of way. So they keep me accountable. So being able to receive knowledge from somebody older and younger than you is like super important, man. So
The next tip on how to be a man is controlling your emotions. You may be really physically opposing, emotionally damaged, but you need to know how to control your emotions at all time, or you will hurt yourself or hurt those around you.
I want you to tell people, what is your opinion on why is that so important, controlling your emotions as a man?
Again, because we are so capable of so many things. So if we get pissed off at something else, us taking that out on the next person, not realizing what we're capable of, could really damage them and really make them look at you a different way for the rest of your life. So if you control your emotions, control the butt of it, you'll really turn into a different type of man.
And I agree too, because I feel like controlling your emotions as a man is so important because, one, that says a lot about your self-discipline. We talked about sexual discipline before, but emotional discipline is just as important because I feel like, you know, the best man in the world is the man that got a lot of control over his emotions, because we've known this before. We was just talking in the barbershop about this, to where they was like, a woman, let's say you in a heated argument with a woman and she's super toxic, she's screaming and doing all of that, but you notice they get more mad at the man who don't react and he real calm and cool and collected. The woman will get more mad because he got so much control, because she's not able to pull that out of him. So I feel like that's extremely scary, because they like, man, I can't even get through to you, I can't even make you mad. So I feel like that's important in a relationship, but that's important in everyday life. So that's one of the things I practice a lot too.
And I feel like your best choices in life will come from controlling your emotions. Taking a step back and really thinking about the best way to attack this situation. And that's just always how it has been. Just like with the play Phil Jackson drew up for Tony Kukoc to shoot the final three instead of Scottie Pippen. Like, Phil thought that so strategically that he will even sat Scottie Pippen out to not play that next play. Your best player at the time, when Jordan's out, your best player at the time, and he sat him out and had him shoot the shot. And it went in.
You know, the best leaders are the men who are like cool, calm, and collected, to where they never allow themselves to be moved, especially in debates, you know what I mean, or conversations and stuff like that. And I feel like that's one of the things I practice all the time. And even a lot of times, too, we bring this up a lot. Even if you notice, when somebody is coming to it for me and you for advice, instead of reacting, what's one of my favorite lines, I always be like, what you think, Keon?
Man.
Don't always do that,
Man,
though. Like,
you throw me in the fire so much, dog.
Yeah, but the reason why I do that is because in my mind, as soon as somebody say something crazy to us, or that it's like, man, that's out of this world. In my mind, I'm like, man, that's crazy. You know how me and you be, bro. Like, we really turn up.
I still be trying to process. What you think, Kia? Like, hold on, give me a minute.
Yeah. That's a very healthy conversational thing that you got to do. Is sometimes you got to give yourself time to respond. A lot of people let people pressure them into hurry up and saying something super fast. That's a good tip that you got to keep in mind as a man, is never allow a woman or anybody to pressure you to give you an answer right away. And my guy Nate just reminded me too, is, you know, that the Bible actually says that you got to actually be quick to listen, you know what I mean, before you hurry up and respond and react to something. And like I said, one of the most powerful ways I like to utilize that is in my dating experiences, because a lot of times I might date a woman who might be really into me, and she like, man, why you know, can we be in a relationship? Can I be with you? And a lot of times, but keep in mind, it might be an emotional reaction, that they giving to me, but I'm still holding my position. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not ready for it at this point in my life, and I'm not gonna allow myself to be moved, because when we do that, we got a lot of times when we jumping into something premature and we making the wrong decisions because we didn't take time to control our emotions and make the right decision. So
one of the scariest thing a man can do is respond instead of react. I'm telling you, if something happens and your initial response is just to take a step back and think about what's going on, it's gonna mess everybody's head up. Cause like I'm really physically imposing, like I could do a lot of damage. But for me to just think about the situation and take a step back, then respond, will make that comeback even more harder.
So the final tip that we giving all the men out there in order to become a better version of yourself is that you have to take time out of your life to reset. You know what I mean? You got to find a way to separate. One of the ways I love to separate personally is spiritually, mentally. I like to get into isolation, because I talked about it before. It's how isolation drove me into depression, but also isolation showed me how to value having my own time to myself, because I feel like one of the tendencies you got to be careful as a man, if you scared to be alone. I even counsel women who talk about, I cannot be without a relationship for too long because I'll get emotional and I'll lose myself. A lot of people don't know how to be alone. So as a man, you have to make sure you take time to separate, step back, step away from your relationship, step away from your business and your family. I do this a lot of times too, because it helped me refresh myself. It's like not getting so caught up in the game. Same thing like with athletes, you know what I mean? You can't be just doing basketball 24/7, because you won't know how to love on your family. You won't have drive anymore to perform because you so caught up in that thing. So
you definitely got to find that balance to reset. It'll make you a better person. You need to take that time away from whatever you're doing and just give yourself a mental reset. That's basic what it is, just a mental reset. And it's just at times, you just need to be to yourself and understand what's going on. Give your body, your mind, and your spirit a chance to catch up all at once. And then you could go forward, because then your next steps will be your best steps. And just all with just taking time.
One of the things I would also want to add when talking to the women about how to identify a man is that you got to look at his spirit. You got to really ask yourself, does he have a lot of death on his spirit, or do he got a lot of life on his spirit? And one of the things God gave me to where I had to write this down also is, if a man brings you death in your present, how could he possibly breathe life into your future? Keon, I'm turning up a little bit before we close out. You know what I mean? And you got to really take some time to take that in, because a lot of times women will receive a man, like I said, who will pleasure her sexually, and he'll pull the strings of her heart, but he won't really take out the time to really speak life into you and take the time to encourage you to lose weight, encourage you to get into the gym, encourage you to break bad habits like drugs, alcohol, and all of those things. So you gotta ask yourself, is this man really helping me breathe more life into myself, or is he just bringing me more death by taking things away from me? So that's just one of the things you got to keep in mind as a woman.
Yeah, that's great, because a man leads the relationship again. So how the man carries himself is going to be how your relationship carry itself. If the man has structure, then your relationship will have structure. If the man lacks balance, lacks peace, then your relationship will lack balance and lacks peace.
But yeah, man, so that was our episode for today, man. We really hope that this really blessed y'all heart, man, for the men and the women out there. We want to make sure, even though we call Modern Kings, we also want to make sure that we catering a lot of our content to women on how to identify better men, because although we can't tell a woman how to be a woman, we could tell a woman how to identify a better man. So we really hope that y'all download these things, man, go back to it, listen to it over again, and really just tap into it.
And Kings, please, I hope y'all took our advice. Please, I hope y'all, especially with the mental health, please take our advice on the mental health. Like, you need to take these things into consideration, because again, broke people hurt broke people, and it's gonna be that.
And I'm sorry to say it once again, Keon, but to the queens out there, you really have to make sure, really encourage yourself to detach yourself from a man sexually, and detach yourself from a man emotionally, because that can cloud your judgment a lot in relationships. So with that being said, my name is Marquise Voss.
And I'm Keon.
And we appreciate y'all for tapping into the Modern Kings podcast. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Peace. Look at that.
Running out of love. Running out of love to give. Yeah. They know I got it, so they got it too. They say if you don't feed your dogs,